Hello, ladies and gentlemen, I am Yasuo1, and what this is it is a showcase video for the Spyro 1 category Vortex percent, or just known as Vortex. This is a very simple category with one goal in mind, which is to enter every single exit vortex of every level. This is a miscellaneous category, not an official category such as any percent or 120%. This category utilizes the All Worlds cheat, which will be a cheat that I will be entering after this next level. That first level that you saw was Stone Hill. Stone Hill was a very short level, it's a very easy level, it's a nice little introduction level to the game. It kind of sets the pace about the movement, which in terms of movement, the fastest way of moving is charging and charge jumping. It will be seeing me do many different techniques and everything, such as flame charging, power jumping, also using damage boosting, and in some cases proxying or flopping to gain momentum. So here is the first glitch, which is to skip into the level Toasty. This glitch isn't particularly hard, but it's one of the main glitches that I've always struggled with. But I can see we enter the level Toasty, and now I will enter the All Worlds cheat. The All Worlds cheat is square square, circle square, left right, circle up, right, down. And basically what this does is it unlocks every single homeworld. In this game there are 6. There's the Artisans, the Peacekeepers, the Magic Crafters, the Beast Makers, the Dreamweavers, and then Nork Nexus. And that just then was the first boss of the game. All in all, in this run we only defeat 2 of the 6 bosses in this game. We defeat the first boss and we defeat the last boss. The rest of the bosses we may go into second or third phases, however we do not physically kill the boss. This is the last level of Artisans Dark Hollow. The Artisans is a very simple homeworld. There are a few skips. There was one in Town Square where we managed to get to the end of the level within a few seconds, and also when we entered Toasty. And I might as well add that the official way to enter Toasty is to exit a level using the Vortex and then rescue the dragon which is in front of it, called Argus. But after Dark Hollow, that is the end of Artisans. And now we talk to Marco, and we're going to go to the Magic Crafters. The Magic Crafters is the 3rd homeworld. It is also the homeworld where the balloonist can take you to other worlds or other levels, and that is what I will be explaining a little bit later. So where the Artisans was a bit more green and it was a lot of pasture, the Magic Crafters is quite snowy. It's a mild, it's quite, how would I say, it resembles a lot of this level, the Alpine Ridge. Now I will go for a skip right on the start here. I didn't get it. You can power jump over that gap, however I am going to just go around. And you just want to beat that cycle because then it lines you up on this cycle. This level is probably one of the longer levels. There's a lot to it, and there isn't really many skips except for that one at the start. Yeah, you can see he's going forward. I will mainly be using flame charging to clear out enemies that will get in the way. These enemies will normally be smashing enemies. And I will point them out whenever they show up. Going to the second Magic Crafter's world, which is called High Caves, and this is the first world which we get introduced to Supercharge. Supercharge is a power-up form of charge which can be performed in some levels which contain a supercharge ramp. This is normally indicated by flashing arrows, as you will now see when I head to the right here. These arrows will allow Spyro to get a little bit extra speed on his charge, and it allows you to traverse bigger gaps, which allows us to get to that vortex. And here's the second instance of Supercharge, where we're using it now to get to the third level of this homeworld, which is Wizard Peak. Now, earlier I mentioned about flopping to get momentum and distance. This is the first level where I will be attempting to use that, and I believe this is the only level where I'll be using this mechanic. Again, flame charging, just to get that enemy out the way, just to be sure. So I jumped a little bit late there, meaning that I bonked, but if I jumped a bit earlier I would have basically flopped off that stair into the enemy and I would have gotten vertical momentum. I can sometimes get a bit of horizontal, and I would have taken that into the vortex right at the end. From Wizard Peak to the third boss, which is Blowhard, it's just over that mountain and in. And this is the first of this is the first of 4 bosses that we are not going to be defeating. This is very much so not beaten because the route that you would intend to take is very awkward. So what I'm trying here is I'm trying to get a damage boost, which will basically give me forward momentum. After bonking into a wall, if you jump, you will get forward momentum from it. And so, if you get hit, you basically, all that momentum is then forced into Spyro, however, with a little bit more acceleration. And because that is a slanted surface, we are able to get vertical momentum. And this is the RNG part of it. That balloonist can send you to 4 different areas. Well, actually no, he can tell you about 5 different areas and send you to 3 of them. He can tell you about the Magic Crafter's home, he can tell you about Wizard Peak, he can tell you about Clifftown, he can tell you about Stone Hill, but the level that we wanted him to tell us about is Dry Canyon. He would have been able to take us here and it would have saved that small trip. If I don't get the RNG first try in the marathon, I will be just doing that movement instead of trying to just get the RNG that I really desire. Dry Canyon is a very simple level. Another flame charge there just to get rid of that enemy. There are some enemies that we will just accidentally run into, but they don't really lose us any time. Maybe like 1 frame, like 1 or 2 frames. But that was Dry Canyon. It's a very simple level. Next up is Clifftown. Clifftown is a level that's very hard in 100%, 120% and any percent if you are doing the Clifftown proxy. However, in Vortex this is quite a simple level, but there are quite a few smaller time saves in there. Like this one here where I just jump onto that platform there. and this one that's coming up, which is used in all three if the player can manage it, which I can't. But you can basically charge jump up all of those stairs, and that's just, it's so much quicker than jump charging up them like I did then. And now it's time for Dr. Shemp. This level is very difficult. There is one skip near the start which has a backup, and then there is a skip right at the end. So I'll be trying to get one of these, and I managed the first skip. There is a backup for that one, and it basically just gets us to the boss really quickly. Now we're going to do the first two phases of this boss. But we are not going to be doing the third. We are going to be skipping the third phase by using momentum to get us across here using a power jump. And that is a very difficult skip. One, the camera does not work with you. The camera will try to face Shemp, so I have to work with the camera whilst controlling Spyro. However, we get a nice little break in the form of Ice Cavern. This level comes ready-made with a shortcut, which we are just going to take right there. And again, flame charging, getting these guys out of the way. They are smasher enemies. They lose a lot of time if you get hit. Sorry about my throat. So that was the end of Peacekeepers, and now we are going to head to the Beastmakers. The Beastmakers is one of the longer homeworlds, but it's one of the most jam-packed homeworlds, which I, for one, am a fan of. This first level, Terrace Village, it's a reasonably long level, but it's got quite a lot of stuff within it in terms of movement and also meeting cycles. This level is very cycle based, and that is one of the things that we have to take into consideration with this level, is that if we're too slow we won't meet the cycle that we want to meet. So I met the cycle, and there is a bug that can happen with platforms with these electric platforms where they won't actually deactivate. And then just power jump and charge glide over that. That's also another movement technique, which is charge gliding. You get a little extra distance off of your glide by doing a small little charge beforehand, and it's used quite often when we want to glide anywhere in this game. So we've done damage boost, but we haven't done damage abuse. Damage abuse is what I'm doing right now, where I'm purposely taking damage in order to get somewhere in the level. I don't normally take 3 damage there, I normally take 2 damage. However, I didn't end up getting the initial jump off, so I ended up taking the 3rd, which is fine as long as I can get the fodder after this level. This level was Treetops. This is another fairly short level, and it has quite a very interesting route. This route isn't used in 8% and it isn't used in 120. 120% and any percent will go forward there. However, with Vortex we're going off to the left, and we're basically going to be following this track, and we're going to be landing on that little stump there in order to get to this supercharged ramp where we can just go straight into the return home portal, or Vortex. So because I took 3 damage in Misty, I will be getting a fodder here, because we are going to be performing another damage boost in this level, which is Metalhead. And this is the 3rd boss that we are not going to be killing at all. Now there is a faster route than what I do, but what I do is the safest and most marathon friendly. The fastest route requires a very difficult wall glide and also damage abuse, which makes the fodder route very, very difficult. So we're going to completely ignore these poles, which you would normally have to defeat the boss. And we're basically just going to damage boost like that, just to skip his phase 2. And get into this building with the return home Vortex in. Yeah, the main goal for that boss is to destroy all the metal poles, but we don't do it on the phase 2 because we can skip that in many ways. And now we're on to the 5th homeworld. The 5th homeworld is the Dreamweaver's world. The Dreamweaver's world is a relatively long world with quite challenging but interesting levels. And this first level is one of the longest, alongside Alpine Ridge. And there is a faster route for this one, however I don't deem it marathon friendly. So I'm going to be doing the safer strat, which is to get the Super Flame, which is what Spyro gets when he gets kissed by one of those fairies. This allows him to break metal objects using the flame. Like, normally Spyro would not be able to flame metal objects because they would only burn up bread and they wouldn't be destroyed. Also, with that first fairy we were able to get to the second. We were able to get to a second door, I guess you could call it. That's not really intended, but if you get there fast enough you can break down that door and get up to the supercharged ramp. And the ending's very simple, it's just that. Now, what we did after that level was death abuse, and it took us back to the start of the homeworld, because it's the fastest way to the second level, Dark Passage. This level is also pretty long, and its enemies are very annoying. The enemies in this level can fire very quickly. And as you can see, there is a ranged enemy there. And so we basically have to do our best to not get eaten by these guys, or hit by the metal turtles, or hit by the devil cupids, which are those enemies. Small little skip here using the power jump. Just gets over to that gap so that we can get over to here a lot quicker. Overall, a very challenging level, despite not really having many things in there. On the way over to the 3rd level, there is a skip there. Skip's a whirlwind. Can be quite challenging for early players. However, for players who have been playing quite a while, that is quite an easy thing. Now we're entering the level Lofty Castle. Lofty Castle is a very nice level in terms of just skips. So we got fairy skip here, and now we're going to just use power jumps and charge slides just so we can get over to here, which is the last area. and there is almost no way of skipping these. We can do what is called a turkey ride, but it's not really RTA friendly. And that's just the end of the level. There's the Vortex. And now we are on to the boss of this world. The boss of this world is named Jacques. It is a French name. There you go, Jacques, Jacques. And this is the last boss that we will not be killing. And there is a few little platforming things. We got one that's coming up right here after we kill the clock fool. They are what activate the platforms there, and we just skip that clock fool because it's quicker. Now we're going to be following Jacques. We're going to be hitting him for phase 1, we're going to be hitting him for phase 2, and then we're going to just skip him for phase 3 because I don't really want to kill him. But yeah, just like that, just go over that gap using a power jump, and just a few more jumps and we're into the Vortex and we're leaving. Which now brings me on to the final homeworld, which is Norp Nexus, or as the game wants to call it, Nasty's World. And this is the only homeworld in which we will be releasing a dragon on purpose. This is so that the other dragon heads will open and we'll be able to get to the second level and the boss. But firstly, this first level, which is called Nork Cove. And we're going to be doing a trick that is known as teamwork. It's a very simple trick where you get launched up by the barrel and you get onto this mountain and then you can just go straight to the ending. On PAL that is not possible and you will end up having to do a wall glide and damage abuse in order to get over to there. Now preferably you would like to leave that level with blue sparks. I left with green, which means that I will be going with a safer strat. But you can do a skip to skip a little area in this level. So if I had blue, I would be going over to the left there and skipping all of this. And I guess that's something I should have mentioned a lot earlier, is that there are 3 stages of sparks. There is green, there is blue, and there is gold. Gold means that Spyro can take 4 hits, blue means 3 hits, green means 2 hits, and then no sparks means that Spyro will only need 1 hit to die. But yeah, just after battling through some enemies, there's the end Vortex. And we are now going into the final boss, which will signal the end of the run. Take So this last boss is very wimpish. He doesn't really attack you. And we just start off with getting these 2 keys. You can get that first key a lot earlier than what I did. You can basically get him without him moving, but I wasn't able to achieve that. Yeah, you can see Nasty Nork, he just runs away, and this is the last boss of the game. This is what you have been working towards fighting. You've just been fighting, you've been wanting to fight a coward, basically. So just hit him that first time and then you'll be on to the last bit of platforming before time. So these platforms are slowly receding into the walls, but because we're fast we can get there really quickly, and that would be time after hitting Astinok. And that would be Spyro 1 Vortex percent. So thank you very much. I've been S1. This has been the showcase video for Vortex percent with some commentary. Thank you very much, and I will see you later.